Welcome to the BIPOC Voices in Leather panel, recorded live at the very first Amplify BIPOC Voices in Leather 2025, hosted by Lair Leather Club in Houston, Texas. This panel was originally scheduled for 90 minutes, but what unfolded was far more powerful than any timeline could contain. Because of the raw truth, deep vulnerability, and heartfelt wisdom shared by our panelists, this discussion continued for nearly 3 full hours, and we are honored to share it with you in its entirety. We extend our deepest gratitude to every panelist who brought their full self to this space. Their social media handles are listed in the video description. Please follow, support, and amplify their work. This is more than a conversation. It's a call to listen, reflect, and take action within our leather communities and beyond. Amplify will return in 2026, and we invite you to stay tuned as we continue to uplift, connect, and center BIPOC voices in leather. Thank you for watching, and thank you for helping us amplify.
All right, welcome everybody. Facebook Live as well. Hello. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for our 2025 Amplify BIPOC panel. Our goal today, of course, with our panel is to make sure not only that we are elevating those within our community and state locally, but also making sure that as we move forward within this community and what it is that we do, that we are being intentional, transparent, and forward-facing in our efforts, not only verbally, but as well as in action by doing the work. So we thank all of you for your presence, because that is a step in the right direction, and we appreciate all of you for joining us in doing so. At this time, we would like to make sure as well that we start off with a note of gratitude for sure, for not only those present with us, but also our sponsors who were able to assist us in making sure that this event, as well as efforts, stood tall, showed up, and showed out. That includes the Council of Indigenous Leather, Houston Black Munch, Houston Voices of Unity, Visionary Leather, Mr. Seven's Secret Sanctuary, South Plains Leather Fest, Church of Norfolk, and of course, the Carter Johnson Library. We thank you all for your service and your support. At this time, we will start by a brief icebreaker and introduction with each of our presenters today who are joining us on our panel. Just in case you can't hear me, the voice you are hearing is Lady Aspen Touche, founder of Houston Black Munch, pronouns she, her. And our icebreaker question for the panel will be, if you could send one message to your younger leather or kinky self, what would it be? So we will start first with Joy Perez. It won't be like this all afternoon, I promise.
It's okay to embrace who you are.
And your names, pronouns?
Oh, Joy Perez, she, her.
And the organizations you're with?
Ooh, too many. But I have recently, along with other switches in our community, started the Gemini Leather Collective. It is an organization for switches by switches.
And next, Scarlet Delaney.
Hello.
Just speak up a little bit. Really hear all the live.
Sure thing.
Thank you.
Scarlet Delaney, she, they pronouns, identifiers. Let's see. I'm the founder of House Ascension. I am a former Red Queen 2014, current Miss Houston Leather. I'm also an active member of Houston Voices of Unity. And my icebreaker question, I think my advice for my younger self would be trust myself more. I think we've all, in our leather journey, gone through a bit of imposter syndrome, where we aren't sure if we are really leather or not. And I think that if I had trusted my younger self a little more and gave her a little more faith, that maybe we would have been further along in our journey by now.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Everest.
Hi, Mr. Everest. He, him pronouns. I founded the group Voices of Unity. I'm also a member of House Ascension and a rope educator in conference spaces as well as in the Houston area. Yeah, as far as the icebreaker, really kind of back to what Joy said around taking space. I think that's something I would definitely tell myself, taking space and it being okay for my voice to be heard, not just waiting for everybody else to talk and kind of, follow along. Like, it's okay to step in, it's okay to lead, maybe patiently, but with my head high. So.
Thank you. Mr. Rathdaddy.
All right, I'm Master Rat Daddy. I was the Heartland Personal Leather from 2019 to 2022. I used to own the Community Dungeon in Austin. I've been on several boards, presented all across America. For the icebreaker question, my younger self, I would probably tell him to go to the classes and actually get a mentor and not just spanking asses and fucking. And my pronouns are he, him.
Thank you. Nik Daring.
Hi everyone, I'm Nik Daring. I am the current Sergeant at Arms for Leather Girls of Color. We've been around for just about 4 years. I am very new to leather, but not new to leather. For the icebreaker question, I would say if I could tell my younger self, be more flexible. Things will pan out. I don't have to be in control of every single piece and part of the experience.
And Brady Assassin.
I am Brady Boss Baby Assassin. My pronouns are she, her, Faye, and Khaleesi. I am founder of Leather Girls of Color. I am also a proud member of the Gemini Leather Collective, and I am currently working on my own brand, which is another bad decision. I would tell my younger self that it's okay to start now. No one is looking at you. No one is judging you. And even if they are, fuck them. You can start now. Because I waited so long to begin my journey.
Awesome. Can we give a round of applause for our panelists, please? So now a few questions to continue getting to know everyone a little bit better. Question 1, what part of your cultural identity shines the brightest in your leather journey? We will start with Mr. Everest.
All right. Well, thank you for the question. I'd say there's a lot of aspects, from the music in my scenes to how I approach certain things in my dynamic, but really I think a lot of it bubbles up. I mean, food, you name it. How I dress, my leathers have little homages to my culture and to my background, but I think it bubbles down to a story, my story. And, I definitely am open to having discussions around that, around telling that story. If somebody asks me, hey, why this song? Why this food? Why this on your leathers? I love that dialogue. I love telling that story, and it's a piece of my heart that I can share with the community and share with anyone that asks. So.
Ready? Can we hear from you next, please?
So I feel like the thing that strikes me most in my journey that is cultural for me is the quintessential Black woman. And when I say that, it's it's not just Diane Carroll. It's not just, you know, the Dynasty era. It's not just Megan Thee Stallion. It's also Mamie, you know, because it's sisterhood. It's showing up fabulous. It's making people comfortable. It's all of those things. Holding space, being safe, making others feel that way. For me, it's all the things that Black women have historically done for the rest of the world and still done it looking good, showing up fire. Like, and so for me, that's what I feel like my journey tries to be. That's what my journey attempts to embody, is I want to do all of those things and not burn out while doing something.
Exactly. Heavy on the not burnout. Scarlet, would you mind going next, please? And then Joyce Burns.
Sure. I think my journey has been a bit interesting as far as my cultural intersectionality with leather. I am half Puerto Rican, half Irish, which are two very different cultures. Mix in that I was raised with a heavy Mexican influence via my stepmother's family. And so I am racially one thing, intersectionally another thing, bloodline another thing, and raised as someone who's Mexican. So I know Mexican culture more than I know Puerto Rican culture due to deaths in my family and the disconnection from my own home culture of Puerto Rico. And I think that when I think about the lessons I've learned because of all of that journey, I think about my stepmom specifically. She was a huge, huge influence on my life. She's the reason I'm the woman of integrity that I am today. She has had lasting impacts. She's been my mom since I was 6, and there isn't anyone in the world that could tear her out of my life, not even the death of my father, who passed on 11 years ago, and my mom is still my mom to this day. So I think that when you have so many different intersections of who you are as a human being, and you put that overlaid with your leather journey, it really comes up as what your values are, and how you can see so many communal values in your home raising, and how you want to emulate those in a collective with everybody else here in the leather community.
Thank you. Joy?
I'm Chamorro, born on the island of Guam before I moved stateside. And coming from a people who have survived colonization, war, and forced assimilation, I feel a very deep-seated need to create space, because I know what it feels like to be erased as a people. So that carries a lot of weight with me. In Chamorro culture, family, community is very big. We only ever had each other to survive, literally. So creating chosen family and creating a space where people can come and feel at ease and feel comfortable is a very big cultural thing for me too.
Nik and Master
So the part of my cultural identity that I probably portray the most is strong Black man. So growing up in the 70s and 80s, I dealt with not only racism, I also dealt with colorism. Being a very dark-skinned Black man was not in vogue at the time. Light-skinned pretty boys were the thing. I was also, because of my size, I was threatening. And so I spent a lot of time in my youth trying to appear more harmless. And as an adult, fuck that. As a leather man, fuck that. Strong Black man. In the leather community, a lot of our iconic imagery for leathermen comes from like Marlon Brando from The Wild Ones, or Tom of Finland, those type of things. Those are not my idols. My idols in leather are Richard Roundtree and Shaft, a man called Hawk, Avery Brooks, even Lawrence Fishburne in Matrix, Isaac Hayes, all right, strong black men. And that's what I portray in my leather, strong black men, unapologetically strong, unapologetically black, and did I mention big? Right, unapologetically big, all right? I don't diminish myself for anyone anymore.
And Nik.
So I have a little bit of a different take. For me, the culture that I'm bringing in and that I want to create is joy. I feel that it is my right as a black woman to have rest and joy, and that I don't want to sit in the space of all the things that are wrong in the world and why I have to give all of that attention. I have every right to have all the types of joy that I want to have, and being in this space inspires me to create it in my other spaces, and being a space where people can have it with me. I want joy.
Thank you. Question 2. Was there a moment when your heritage empowered you to reclaim or redefine your place in leather or king spaces? And we'll start, actually, where we last ended. Nik.
Now, wait a minute. Okay.
We're gonna move in there, no problem.
Okay, give me the question one more
Sure,
time.
no problem. Was there a moment when your heritage empowered you to reclaim or redefine your place in leather and king spaces?
Yes. So, everyone knows LGLC, the greatest girl gang on the planet, right? But my time with LGLC hasn't always been the easiest. This was a time where I had to really learn like sisterhood and grace. Like I had to give it as much as I expected it. And that was really, really hard for me. Being in the space though kind of helped me foster that skill. And I don't think I would have ever got there had I not had LGLC and I had this wonderful group of women who were willing to hold me accountable and like call me to the carpet. It helped. I loved it. I mean, I can speak how I
I love it. Let's take that energy over to the founder of LGOC, Freddie.
How did I know that? So, super shout out to my sibling, ally sibling, Joy, because the thing that has been most culturally changing for me was me understanding the differences in my being black and BIPOC. And what that meant to me and what that looked like to other people and how I outwardly defined that and how I took that into what I am doing. Because I am black, blackity, black, super black, right? But I am also BIPOC. They are not the same. Let me be perfectly clear. And I think that we don't talk enough about that difference and how spaces for each are necessary because they're not the same. And it was Joy who kind of helped me with that and kind of pushed it in my face like, I'm gonna need you to, and I will thank her forever for that because she makes me ask myself the hard questions. She always does. And that was one of the most transforming and reflective spaces that I've had most recently. When we talk about unlearning, when we talk about the bullshit we bring with us, right? That was one of the things that I had to unpack. And it was good for me. I think it was good for my organization. I think it's been good for my community because it was necessary.
That's beautiful. And on that note, we'll carry the energy over to Joy.
Thanks, Brady. So when we were given this list of questions, this was a really hard one. for me to really sit in and think about what my answer was going to be. Because, like I mentioned earlier, forced assimilation. Chamorros were killed down to 500. Our people were not necessary. The land was. We've lost a lot of our culture. So what culture am I bringing with me? What is really empowering me? When we moved to the States, my mom taught us to mirror those around us so we didn't stick out so much. I realized that I left my childhood home. I left the rule of my parents. I was in a community where I was supposed to be able to be myself, and I was still code switching. I was still wearing a mask. I was still mirroring those around me, because even here, amongst all of these beautiful faces, I am still the only one. And even when I wasn't seeing myself being reflected back, I had to be comfortable with being the only one in the room. And that has been a very long and hard journey, and it's something that I still have to consistently work at, is being okay with being the only one in the room. And that's my answer.
Thank you. Scarlet?
I feel that part about being the only one. I don't think that when I first came into leather that there was a lot of neurodivergent humans in leather. And I also don't think that there was, in my area, at least when I first came in, a lot of the community being so blended and diverse. And I remember walking into a lot of spaces here in Texas when I first got here and being like, wow, this is uncomfortable. But I stayed in those rooms because I was the only one. And because I didn't want someone else to walk into that room on a different day and not see anyone like them. And so sometimes it's the burden we have to wear as being the only one in whatever category that is, to stay in those rooms and face that uncomfortability because someone else might walk into that room and not see someone like them and never walk back into that room. And if we have to keep going through that, that means that one day someone will walk in and see you and identify that they see something similar, and now they have a friend, now they have someone to talk to. And then when that third one or that fourth one or the next one, and that's how you create the community. You have to keep coming back despite, like, it's the perseverance struggle, and you have to keep doing it. Otherwise, no one else will find you. You'll just keep moving on. You become transient in your search to find. Or you start your own places to find. And we've done a lot of that too.
Thank you. So, Mr. Everest, was there a moment when your heritage empowered you to reclaim or redefine your place in leather and kink spaces?
Definitely. So culturally, my background is Mexican and Mexica, quote unquote Aztec for a lot of those that aren't familiar with Mexica. And there is a lot of pride in that culture, what remains of that culture. You have groups that in certain areas of Mexico that are still speaking Nahuatl. You have a lot of artists that are focused on that, right? On that particular art and bringing that culture back to life and back to people's faces or in front of them. But growing up, my family, you look at where we're at today, right? With ICE, with a lot of the issues at the border and both sides of it, right? And it was very much a head down mentality. Keep your head down, get your damn job done, just keep pushing forward, right? There was a lot of that.
Don't be a target.
Don't be a target. So, a lot of my passions stayed very much internal for a long, long time. And I kind of brought that into my kink life as I started down that journey, right? Of, hey, I will educate myself. I will go to conferences. I will have a mentor. I will do these things, but I'll keep it within, and I'll just kind of keep growing it. And sure, if there's a dynamic, a relationship, a play partner, that's where I'll build that. But I'll keep my head down. Don't want to draw a lot of attention. Don't want to be perceived. And over time, you know, with certain interactions with community leaders, you know, a lot of discussions within BIPOC groups, you know, I kept hearing that resounding message of take space, it's okay, right? And so a lot of that pride from my culture started to come out. It wasn't the first discussion that I had where I was told to take space where that really kind of stuck with me, but you know, there was enough of them where it happened. And you know, Voices of Unity would not exist if I didn't take that step forward. I wouldn't be sitting here if I hadn't taken that step forward. So.
Thank you. Mr. Rector.
So, in the leather culture, there is a lot of uniform fetishism. And I grew up as a black man on the streets of Philadelphia. I grew up in conflict with police. My mother was a Black Panther. I have a cousin who was shot on his knees in handcuffs by the police. So I have no desire to wear an outfit that looks like it's police related. The black community has had a tumultuous relationship with the police. I also don't have any desire to wear leather that looks like an SS officer, which you see quite a bit. So most of my leather is custom made, and it's made to look like my vest. Someone want to hand me my vest. My vest.
Don't mess with your legs.
Thank you. Has mud cloth. Leather is designed to look like mud cloth, which is an African fabric, because I didn't see any leather that resembled my culture. So I had it made because, again, I don't want to look, I'm not in the military. I don't want to wear a militaristic looking uniform. I damn sure, like I said, don't want to look like a cop, don't want to look like an SS officer. I want to look like a black man from Philadelphia. And that's what I want to look like when I wear my leather. It's an expression of me. And I used to think that in order to be leather, you had to look a certain way. And then I just said, fuck that. I'm going to express my individuality and my cultural identity as a black man from Philadelphia.
Thank you. So question 3, what's a lesson you learned the hard way in your journey and what helped you grow from it? And we will start with Mr. Everest.
Can you repeat the question? You surprised me.
Sorry. Surprise. What's a lesson you've learned the hard way in your journey and what helped you grow from it?
So I think, you know, and when I say journey, you know, this was in vanilla life, this was growing up to now, and in leather, was the need to please others and the thought that was a requirement, right? That, hey, if I want to take up space, if I want to be involved in something, I have to please everybody. I have to have a certain skill set. I have to talk about specific things, and that, you know, that stayed with me for so long. And then even in leather, it was, hey, if I want to be part of a specific group, or if I pick up a specific kink or fetish, or I'm interested in something, I have to get really, really good at it, which I like to do anyway, but I felt that I needed to do that just to be in that circle, right? And so I wasn't doing it so much for me for a while. And it just took a lot of time of doing that and realizing, hey, this isn't fulfilling me, right? Like, great, somebody likes my rope, or great, somebody likes my leathers, or what I'm talking about in a particular situation, but yeah, I mean, it wasn't fulfilling me, so it took a long while for it just to hit me over the side of the head of, hey, I need to not only take space, but I need to take space that brings me joy, right? Not just doing it for others, and that took a while, and I'm still working on it, really. But, you know.
Thank you. Next, Nick.
Okay. So as much as I feel like I'm a vulnerable person, I'm really not. And so one of the biggest lessons I've had to learn is how to lean in. Like stranger danger, I take that very serious. Something seems odd, invisible, I'm gone. Like I drop things, people, situations very quickly if I feel a threat. And here lately, as life has been lifing, it is the connections that I've made in this space that has sustained me. Like I've had emergent surgery, and when I tell you, I was like, oh, I don't need any help, I don't need any help. So much so that I tore my incision, and these kind of people helped me. I had to really trust that they are who they say they are. Everyone isn't out to get you. Everything isn't conspired to, to harm you. You can have great relationships in this community. So, but I wish I hadn't had to tear my incision to learn that.
That's extra painful.
Scarlet.
Sure. I grew up in Hayward, California, and spent a lot of my youth there. I've only been in Texas for the last 4 years. And we lived definitely well below the poverty line growing up. Socioeconomically, there was a lot of stigma in the world that I grew up in. There was a lot of gang wars and a lot of drugs and a lot of violence in my neighborhood. And I realized at a very young age that if you did anything that was good, there was nobody who was going to celebrate you. No one was going to step up and really acknowledge that you would overcome something really difficult, because what we had to overcome was where everyone started in life. And we had to just get to the starting point that everybody else had already. And so there wasn't anyone really to celebrate you but you. So I think it was maybe my 4th or 5th grade teacher said, if you've done something good and you know you did it, stand up and clap for yourself. And I think that's always stuck with me since then. Because if no one else will celebrate you, be proud of you and the work that you've accomplished. Because even if no one else will acknowledge it or recognize it or give it a voice, you can do that for you. So clap for yourself.
Master Rathdell.
Lesson I learned, that I don't have to be all things. I don't have to do all the things. When so I'd taken a long hiatus from the community in 2 back-to-back vanilla marriages. And when I came back, there was the internet. And everybody had access to all the kinks and all the styles of play and all the toys and which was very different than when you discovered community events by a ad in the back of a magazine or a newspaper, or you got a newsletter in the mail. It's very different. Back then, there was a lot more specialization, and now you're expected to be. I used the word kink dispenser before. Like you're expected to be like a candy machine where they're just all right, shibari and this and that. You're expected to know all things. I ain't into all things. When I first came back into the community in 2013, I took like 5 shibari classes. And then I was like, I hate this shit. I don't, I'm not a rope guy. Like I am severely ADHD. I get frustrated buckling the leather restraints. Like that takes too much fucking time to me. So the idea of spending 30 minutes tying somebody up in intricate knots makes my head fucking hurt. Like I'm like, I don't want to do that. But at the time, it seemed like everybody had to learn rope. Everybody had to do rope, and you were judged on how good of a master or how good a top you were by how pretty your rope was and how suspension. It's like, I don't want to do that shit. And I realized that I don't have to. I do the things that get my dick hard.
All right, now.
That's it.
You gonna get us thrown off Facebook Live?
Stars in your speech, sir. Ready?
So the thing that I had to learn was leather, right? It's not some special place that we graduate to or go that is full of wonder and good people and wonderful opportunities and places. It is simply a microcosm of the larger world, and assholes abound here too. And so it struck me when I realized it that this is just a sub-community, a subculture. And so whatever problems, issues, shortcomings, psychoses people have in their regular, they are just bringing with them into this subculture. And so it happened fast, but I was like, oh, it's crazy people over here too. Got it. Okay, I can stop expecting it to be wondrous. Okay, got it. Okay, noted. Let's keep it moving. But I tell people up front now, like, leather is something that you strive for and you live. It's not the end all be all. It's a journey, and even if you're living it, it's a journey. It's a struggle. It's like every day I'm trying to live in authenticity. Every day I'm trying to respect other people. Every day, and it's hard for me sometimes because I like spazzing out on people. It's hard. So that was the thing that was the biggest lesson I had to learn.
Thank you. Enjoy.
The hardest lesson I learned was that not everybody who calls themselves a leader deserves your trust. Power and title does not equal integrity. I came into the kink community at the ripe young age of 18, and being very vulnerable and naive, fell into some very nefarious hands. And that really impacted how my journey went. I left the community twice because of it, because of people who called themselves community leaders and who we were trying to learn from and who we thought we could trust and who we could, emulate and do all of the things. And quickly learned the very, very hard way that wasn't true. I tell people all the time, as much as I'm vetting you, I hope you vet me too. I want you to ask people who I am, what I've done, check my references, call me out on my shit. Because those beginning experiences were, if it was anybody else, and I've known a lot of people who just left and never came back. That's it.
Thank you. So let's lean into some gratitude. Who in your circle, question 4, who in your circle, an influencer, elder, peer, or ancestor has inspired your commitment to consent, equity, and empowerment within our community? Grady, would you start us off, please?
No.
We're finding it.
We are. We're finding it. We're finding it. I cannot, for the life of me, name one person. And I say that because I am blessed to have been poured into collectively by a sisterhood of women, leather women, elders, my contemporaries, just people who at different given points have taken the time to say to me words that I needed at that moment. And it's been, not that there's nobody consistently that's doing it, because a lot of times you'll see me shouting out my tribe sisters, right? My girl gang, right? I have people that are in my life consistently, but when you talk about, you know, who has like inspired you, I have been inspired by so many. I mean, like, I could start naming, but it would be unfair because it legitimately, I will, you know, charge it to my head and not my heart. There are just so many that have said things to me. They probably don't even know they said to me. That helped me along the journey, along the way, that stuck in my head, that said, yeah, you can do this. Just at Self 2 weeks ago, I had a conversation with somebody, and she probably don't know the impact that she had on me. But she's somebody I've always looked up to. So there is, I thank the leather sisterhood out there, because while there's this myth that women don't get along and, you know, they're catty and they fight all the time and they can't, you know, be together, and it's always some kind of recklessness, and I rebuke that, because it's happening. There are circles, there are sister spaces where we are loving on each other and supporting each other, and we there for each other, and we make sure we okay. It's happening, it's out there. And I am blessed to have been poured into from many far places and near. And that's it's the leather sisterhood. That is what I can't name a person.
Nik, who in your circle has inspired your commitment?
So I always have this joke. If you have an O in your name, you probably can tell me what to do. So my mentor Onami and my good friend OYK, these two people, when I say they hold me to a high level of accountability, Onami is the mirror, OYK is like the teacher. They have held me in spaces and helped me grow, which has been really painful. They know that I'm a very private person. And I've never had that kind of support before, because I never want to show up not being the thing that people want me to be. And with these two, they want me to be me. And so it helps me be more authentically me in other spaces. So they're who I look up to. They're the people I'm running plays by. They're the ones that's like, okay, you did it, you did this the wrong way. I'm going to take the critique from them. Definitely. So if you have a critique for me, please forward it to them. No. They will get it to me post haste. So.
Mr. Rackett.
So, when I used to go to conventions, I would go to different presentations and panels and just watch to see who was saying the things that really resonated with me, especially as I was re-entering the community and determined to do it right this time. And I remember watching Master Malik and his slave, and the love that he showed for her, and his expression of emotion at a time when I thought you had to be this stoic master, and that, him expressing the failures that he'd had and mistakes he'd made at a time when, again, people were acting like they were infallible beings. And what that does when you act that way to people new to the community is they think that they have to be perfect, that they have to be emotionless beings, that they have to be almost these unfeeling automatons. And it's important that we show that we're real people, that we're real human beings, that we make mistakes. Pedestals in this community are towering, and that fall is painful. So showing that I don't have to try and stick my ass up on that pedestal that I could be a real human being in this community, that I could be a master and not have to act like I'm infallible, was an important lesson for me.
Thank you. Mr. Everest?
So I think, for me, again, there's a lot of people in the community throughout my journey that have inspired me. And, it's kind of funny. I haven't had a mentor that I go to for damn near everything, right? I have somebody that, provides feedback and, provides some wisdom as it relates to specific areas, specific facets. And, one of them, and the reason I'm naming them is because, because it's more than just the technical area, which is whips, and that's Daddy Crone. Someone that had really took me in and throughout kind of this mentorship and throughout our relationship, it's been so much more than that. It's been, hey, you're more than what you're valuing yourself as, right? And part of not only with what I can give, but even some of my abilities, right? Like healing and catharsis, and being able to move my skill sets and my capabilities into goals that reach that and provide that for people. Something that I never would have seen without that level of mentorship. So.
Thank you. Scarlet?
I think I'm struggling with the names of everyone that I could possibly think impacted my journey. But I will say a few names, because I think that as much as I say stand up and clap for yourself, I do feel like gratitude needs to be shown more in the community. A lot of our leaders in general don't get enough thanks, and then they burn out because they're not fed anything that feels like their work matters. So to Master Kelly, who's passed on, and his slave Carlene, who told me I should run for a title, to Master Bren and Slave Sky, who told me that they could start an education just because they could, and they run Leather Church in Sacramento. To Bree Burning, who's my sister, who we started Sub Girls Night Out, having coffee in someone's living room. And sorry, these people mean a lot to me. To Mama Vi, who I got to finally meet after reading her book and idolizing her. She was so down to earth and so kind. And she told me that I needed to write my story. And when you have your icon telling you it's your time to step up and go and do the things, I think we've all had moments like that where you really have such an overwhelming joy in your heart of gratitude and appreciation, and you feel like that siblinghood of leather really exists and it's tangible. I always cry. People who know me know that I cry all the time about these things, because I don't have any shame around crying. Our community is based out of us all kind of being rejected from normal society. So this community is threaded together with hope and love and shared values. And they're values that you don't see commonality in the world anymore. And so when we see these beautiful qualities and values in other human beings that it resonates with, it creates such a level of reverence in your soul. And so there are many individuals beyond who I name that have said empowering or inspiring things to me, that help me become the woman that I am, the person that I am, the sibling that I am to many in the community. And I'm so grateful that I see more and more people stepping up into that next level role to be a mentor and be somebody else that can say the inspiring thing to someone else in the community for that next generation, so leather doesn't die. Because it's important to keep our stories alive.
Thank you. Joy?
How do you follow that?
You gotta do it.
People that know me know that I cry about all the things, so don't worry about that part.
Just a bucket of water.
But like Scarlet, I also believe in giving people their flowers while they're here, still here to receive them too. It was 15 years before I met another Pacifica person in my leather journey. So flowers to Master Savage, my leather sister. And when we are in space together, we literally don't have to say a single word to each other. That spirit and energy of our Pacifica and Oceania people just flow between us. And she is my calm, and I am hers. I had a moment at Self last year, a triggering moment. Ran outside, and Rebel went and grabbed her, and she came out, and she just looked at me like this. And I just fell into her because there was this understanding there that only somebody else with the same type of cultural trauma could understand, and being able to finally find somebody that I can share that with was the most healing part of my journey. Meeting Stray and learning about April and seeing the AA and HPI representation in our community finally. Watching Goddess Indigo be sashed in MSL 24. Representation matters. When you are the only one for so long and finally seeing similarities and watching the leather community change, that's been it for me.
Thank you. Appreciate everybody sharing and being vulnerable with us. So now let's shift just a little bit and kick the narrative up with a quick question. You can answer yes, no, and then give us a brief summary in regards to why. So question 5, within Texas, is active diversity inclusion within the kink and leather communities really possible? And why do you say so? And everybody's like, who's gonna go first? Master Raspberry.
So is it possible? Yes. Has it been a focus? No, it is not. When I won my title and I kind of ran on a diversity platform and was out there pushing for there to be more BIPOC oriented panels and for the dungeons to maybe play some music that wasn't just 9 Inch Nails and Rage Against the Machine, to play some music that represented other cultures, to maybe have in their imagery that they use for promotion to have more diversity in those. The community that I was in was the only one of all the communities I visited that actually resisted. The only community that didn't. Everyone else heard the message, was like, oh my God, yeah, you're right. I didn't even realize that this they were all white males on my flyers, or that all of my panels were male-led dynamics, or that all of my panels were, or my dungeon was all music that represented a particular monochromatic culture. When I brought that message to the city that I was in, Austin, Texas, it fell on deaf ears. Deaf ears. So, it's is it possible? Yeah. Diversity ain't hard. It's not hard. And the fact that people keep acting like it is gets me pissed off. It's not hard. Oh, well, our dungeon is inclusive, it's welcoming. Have you actually gone out and tried to welcome people into it? Have you gone out and actively tried to include people? Well, we handed out some flyers. You know, I mean, have you attended? All right, you're complaining that you don't know any black presenters. All right, have you gone to BIPOC spaces, black spaces, POC spaces. Have you gone to there? Have you gone to their events, to their munches, their socials, so on and so forth, throughout the year? Not just to hand out flyers for your event, but throughout the year. Have you done that? No? Okay. All right, then you're not welcoming. You're not including. Sorry, I didn't mean to get on the soapbox there. But yeah.
It was all facts.
Yeah, it pisses me off because yes, it's possible, and it ain't that damn hard.
Thank you. Brady, within Texas, is active diversity inclusion within kink and leather community spaces possible? Yes, no, and why?
I am going to also say yes, it is possible. I am going to say I don't see it happening well because people are quite satisfied with the performative nature of everything. If I make it look like I'm doing something, it's good enough. And I blame us. We accept it. Well, they look like they're doing it, it's fine. And we don't make it happen. We don't hold our event producers, we don't hold their feet to the fire. We don't stop spending our money because we gotta have somewhere to go and we gotta have something to do. We know that their practices are not diverse. We know that they are doing performative stuff. We know that they treat any of the handful of diverse presenters that they have. We know that they treat them poorly and put all of them in the same block of time so they all happen at one time and get the hell out. We know that this is happening, but oh my God, I can't have nothing to do on Easter weekend. I gotta make sure I'ma still go. I'ma still support it. I'ma still go to this place. I'ma still spend my money. And when you do that, you cannot expect people to change. You can't, because you still gonna spend your money. So you can say whatever you want, and they're gonna keep your presence in these places is your consent. You allowing them to do and behave as they are is your consent. You're telling them that their behavior is okay. So is it possible? Of course. But just like everything in America, they not gonna do it on their own. We got to drag them kicking and screaming. And okay, but they not gonna come kicking and screaming if we not gonna make them. That's not so possible.
Thank you. Mr. Everett?
So, yes, it is possible. I think it's possible. But I think, like everybody else on the panel has said so far, that's not where we are, and I don't see it happening for the near future, right? And I think, I mean, you know, you look at things like, you know, the music in a dungeon, and you look at who's in the dungeon, right? And you know, so there's things that are, hey, we're definitely not there, right? That's clear. You know, but there's other areas too. We look at, you know, the educators. If you want to learn a thing, there's a 95% chance that there's not going to be a person of color that's teaching you the thing, right? You know, and I'm not just talking about a conference presenter. I mean, like formal education in the Houston area, going and taking recurring classes, things of that nature. You know, you look at DMs in a dungeon, right? And you know, I've had a scene stopped, and what was it? It was 4 large white men approaching me with their arms crossed, and hey, maybe we can do things a little bit differently, right? Maybe we can, maybe there's some inclusion that needs to happen there as well, and you know, maybe it's looking at opportunities where, you know, we can have more educators. You know, we can have DMs. We can, and where that's not possible, you know, we're starting to see more and more of, hey, we're just going to do the thing. We're going to create the space, and we're going to make it happen, right? We're either going to bring educators in, or we're going to learn the things from the educators and then become educators ourselves, and off we go in our groups, right? You look at, you know, Voices of Unity. my group, and we are unapologetically holding meetings with just people of color. And while we absolutely love advocates and supporters, you know, it's okay for us to have our space, and we don't think that we can have those conversations in those spaces elsewhere, right? So.
Thank you. Nick?
So, like everyone, yes, I think it's possible. And I actually think that it's in the progress. So I don't share the same opinion that it's going to take a long time. I think, will it be here in time for me? Maybe not. But I think the next generation coming through, they operate in a very different way. They're not so beholden to these concepts because they've seen us uphold these concepts as these things that we say that we're following, but it's not really shown in our actions. And so I do think that there will be more diversity and inclusion because the younger generations, they're more diverse and inclusive. And they demand it because they're not going to abandon this just for this one. They want it all.
Joy?
Is it possible? Yes. But only if we stop confusing exposure with inclusion. You know, resistance is real here in Texas. Resistance to change. It's like the backbone of Texas, right? But inclusion is more than just slapping a rainbow patch or a BIPOC flag on your vest or on your event flyers or these things. Doing the hard work, educating yourselves, taking accountability, like those things. But also do the fucking work and not expect us to do the work for you because we're tired. We are tired. Waking up every morning in our bodies, in the color, in the culture that we are, is exhausting. And having to show up for somebody else and do the work and education for them, it's hard. And I get it. How do you learn or how do you educate yourself when you don't know what you don't know, right? When we have panels like this, when BIPOC people have panels, when we have discussions, when we give the community the opportunity to sit and hear from us and hear what we need and hear our stories, actually fucking show up. And then sit and actually listen. Listen to hear, not to defend. Listen to learn and grow, not to become defensive and take it personal. We get it. You're not your ancestors. You're not actively doing us harm. We understand that, but also understand generational trauma is a thing. And we're just tired. We're exhausted. So when we invite you in, come in. Holy.
Yeah.
So big props to Lions Lair. I do want to take a moment for that.
Can I add to that? And to everybody else who's here.
Yeah.
Because so many times you'll see a BIPOC panel at a major event, and it's just Black faces, Latino faces, Asian faces. We ain't the problem. You know? I mean, to be blunt, like, we're not the ones who need to hear the message. And so everybody who came who's from outside the cultures that are represented up here, I appreciate you.
But I want to expand on why I say big props to Lions Lair. When Prussian approached me about this, you know, I had some reservations. You know, I'm gonna get real not politically correct here.
Yay.
And be like, oh, another white man, right? Here we go. And it was nothing against Prussian. He and I have known each other for quite some time. It's just that is your initial gut reaction as a BIPOC person. And when he actually presented it to me, and he said, I have the space. I have the ability to get people here. And I just want to give you guys the platform. That is exactly what he did. Having Lady Aspen be the voice for the entire day instead of himself or another person. He is walking his talk, and we need more people like that. If you have the space, you have the bandwidth, you have the outreach, part of being an ally is allowing us to have a voice without overstepping our voice. So thank you, Prussian, thank you, Lucky and Lions Lair, for allowing us that, for amplifying us.
You all are singing.
All right.
I was gonna say, it's hard to follow Scarlet, but.
So is inclusion possible? Of course. Some of the conversations that Voices of Unity have been talking about is identifying groups, organizations, and establishments that do want to learn, but don't know how to ask, don't know who to ask. That's an uncomfortable space for them. They're afraid of offending people, and we get it. Like we can sit there and go, and that's a whole conversation that everybody else missed because we had a conversation in that one look that no one else in the room even got because they weren't in it. And there's been so many times where I have been increasingly, since joining your group, increasingly presented, and this is divine universe trying to tell me something, with moments with friends of mine where I'm like, wow, what in the white world was just said to me?
How very white of you.
And I'm like, okay, the universe is giving me work to learn from. All these little micro moments, all these tiny conversations, it's giving me the patience to speak through calmly. I'm a warrior through and through. I will die on so many freaking hills. Oh, and I will kill you on them too. Like we both going, okay? I have an immense tenacity for BIPOC inclusion, an immense tenacity for diversity and divergency and queer inclusion. I've been on a soapbox since I got to Texas about why are the gay men running everything and us queer siblings are silenced and ignored. I'm like, excuse me, these are not my gays. I grew up near San Francisco. My gays are sweet and love me. These aren't my gays. Who are you?
You're not my real dad.
So I've been round and round on these things, and so I'm like, cool. This year I'm seeing so much of these micro situations where I'm looking across the couch at an event and somebody, and I'm going, okay, the universe is letting me practice right now. I am practicing calm in these moments. That's what I'm supposed to be learning. So then when we do our discussions, because we want to start creating culturally competent education, I'm gonna have a lot of dumb people saying a lot of dumb things to me. I need to get real comfortable in that and not let it agitate my soul, because it would otherwise, and it has for years. And we all know that frustration, that like initial gut reaction, like I just want to backhand you so hard right now, but I'm in public and I can't be loud and I have to hold my hands like this and just be really calm, because if I'm not, then I'm the crazy Latina. Okay, cool. So I do feel like it's absolutely possible. I do feel like there's gonna be people that are ready to step in and those who are ready to not. At SPLF this year, they had 2 different summits. And in our BIPOC summit, amongst our own group, I really, really, really loved that people were honest and real and saying, hey, if you've been in the fight and 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 you're tired of the fight, it's okay. Admit out loud and acknowledge, hey, this ain't my season this year. I'm taking a break and I'm finding joy. I'm finding peace. I'm finding camaraderie. And that's okay. That is you preserving your culture by taking a rest period. because you are no good to us as a future advocate if you burn yourself out and just never come back. So take a rest. We love that for you. We want that for you. You deserve that because you've already been doing so much hard work. Pass the torch. Speak in spaces where you can feel safe and feel heard, and pass that information to those that are ready to step up and go have those toe-to-toe conversations that are super uncomfortable and awkward. And we'll speak. We'll amplify your voice while you take a rest here. I'm okay with that. I still have so much fire in me. Come tell me your story and I'll make sure it gets heard.
That was a good follow-up. I like it. Thank you. So question 6, how are today's political tensions, especially around bodily autonomy, anti-LGBTQIA+ legislation, and racial justice impacting our ability to create safer, consent-focused spaces within our community? And I'm actually just gonna leave this one open for whoever would like to speak to it.
I think the biggest thing for me is fundamental human right is if I do not have control over my own body, I am not free. Period. And that for me is the biggest fundamental argument currently with our administration, our political landscape is, and I think it hits all of the groups that you're saying, because it's a human issue. If I do not have control over my own body, what I choose to do with my own organs that I was born with, if I can't choose what I'm going to do with that, I cannot be called a free person. I'm not free. And that, for me, is the biggest issue that we are facing. Because if we can get to understanding what freedom really means, as a human, as a person, you're going to be free, you should have these things. Because we're not the land of the free. Again, Jill Scott's version was the only version of the national anthem y'all should have been singing yesterday. We're not free. We're not the land of the free, and we're not the home of the brave. We are a nation developed by Europe's losers, and we are dying. Well, I'm sorry, did I say all that out loud? No. I meant to.
So I'm gonna follow Bratty. We're exhausted. We're literally fighting for our lives on the outside and then expected to show up fully here. And it's hard. These things impact every aspect of our life. It is harder for us to trust. It is harder for us to feel safe. And like we've been saying all day, all those things that you have out in the vanilla world, you bring into kink and leather spaces. And the pure caucasity of people. People who you thought were your leather siblings, your leather community, are showing their true colors now more than ever. I think the first time Rebel ever heard me say it, she about died, but I tell her, like, Beast will say, what do you think this is? And I'll tell him, America with the triple K. America, KKK. And that, especially living in conservative Texas, I live in a military town. I am ethnically ambiguous. Nobody knows what the fuck I am. How many of you thought that I was Latinx? That is usually what I get, the first thing. But especially living in military town, whatever the political climate is what I am targeted as. We're exhausted. In spaces that I thought I was safe before, I no longer feel safe. Because even leather folk can be assholes too.
Well, I'll say this too. This past election and the election a few years back showed me that we're not as united as we have portrayed ourselves to be. Because if you can stand shoulder to shoulder with me, hide to hide, and call yourself a leather brother and then vote for somebody who's gonna hurt us, then that ain't showing integrity. We talk about unity and diversity and all this other stuff, and yet we allow this. We allow people to be in our spaces, preaching, diversity and integrity and this and that, and that, while we know what they're doing in the poll booth, and we know that, and yet nobody calls them out. Nobody says a goddamn thing to them. I mean, I that's not integrity either on our part. If we will allow those people to be in our spaces, eating our food, playing in our dungeons, and yet we know that they're going out and voting against our interests, and in many cases, their votes threaten our lives. But yet we're still smiling in their faces and allowing them to smile in our faces.
Or even those who may not have voted for him and didn't vote at all. Being non-political, you're being exclusive by default. You are still harming us. Staying silent is still harming us.
And there's this whole auspice that leather is not political. I don't know who the hell lied to you, because it is. It's the whole movement was based on the idea that the entire establishment is out to get us. The establishment is what we need to rally against. We need to be there for each other. We need community, because the establishment is not going to look out for us. That's the heart of the movement. Leather is political. The entire existence of our clubs, our bars, everything is the idea that we need our communities to be safe. And it's crazy that now it's even more prevalent and people still don't get it. It is the most political thing you can do to be leather right now, and if you're not being integral about it and you're not understanding it, it's bananas. And I think there are people that are calling it out. It's just that we are not being communal about it. People are like, oh, well, no, he can still be my friend because I don't treat my friends like that. And I'm going to still invite them to present because, I don't think that means that they can't teach a class. But it should, right? Because we all supposed to be standing on these same leather values, right? We still supposed to be living these same leather things, right? But we not, again, because there's my community, and then there's, the rest of the people out there.
I mean, I think, we wake up in the morning feeling unsafe, not having autonomy. We go to sleep, same damn thing, right? And, so the people out there that are representing leather or saying they're representing leather and the values behind it, if they either support those that are creating those levels of unsafeness, not safe, and taking away that autonomy. They're definitely not with us, right? But what I will say is that with the current political climate, it sure is a hell of a lot easier to identify those prejudices. So those red flags are a little brighter lately. Now, what we do about it, and how we unify to call them out, and not just, hey, I hope this person stands with my decision not to have them present here, not to have them do this in this dungeon or what have you. That's a whole different thing, and that's a whole thing that we need to be on the same page about.
But I think the bigger issue here, though, is I think, yes, the political climate is definitely going to affect how we move inside of our community, because how transparent can I be with someone, especially if this is a first encounter when I don't know, are you a mandated reporter, or I don't know your political beliefs, so how can I yield or give into, creating this connection? At the same time, we don't have processes in place for those individuals who cross boundaries, who do the things that we don't like within this space. So I feel like if we can't manage the whole world. We can manage ourselves.
Yeah.
So if we start to bring those individuals who are problematic, yes, maybe Jimmy shouldn't teach at the conference this year, but that doesn't mean he should be banned for the next 50,000 years, because you know that's another thing in leather. Everyone has a gripe with you forever for one thing that they didn't even witness. Let's start bringing those people back into the community so that we can exemplify the things that we're wanting the bigger community to give us. Because if we don't start creating it, why are we continuing to wait for someone who's been oppressing us all this time? Like, the oppression is greater, but it's been pretty consistent. When do we create it for ourselves?
I think on that, I don't know, our culture and our community in leather originally started with kind of like the MC background, and I know Lions Lair follows that. I wonder if we should start like de-leathering and de-patching people, or maybe we patch them with something, stamp them with something on their leathers to signify, hey, that one, because we really need them to walk around with red flags and like, oh, you can't wear that leather because that leather dye that we stamped you with is permanent. I mean, at this point, what are you gonna do? You're gonna get shunned from your own community. If we start holding people accountable, what does that look like? Because we can keep saying, hey, so-and-so's not good, or this person did that. But it's just this word of mouth. It's just a story. And 9 times out of 10, outside of our circles, no one believes us anyways.
Popularity.
Popularity. Explaining microaggressions to Caucasians. That's a wild one. I mean, like, there's the warrior part of me that's like, yeah, we should literally like rip your leather off of you. You should not be allowed to have that any longer. You are not part of us. I would like to walk you right out of this community and ostracize you in front of everyone, so they all know you're not here no more. You be gone. Goodbye. But I know that is not the right way to do it. There's the warrior in me who's like, yeah, fuck shit up. The healed version who has worked on calm and creating inner peace is like, hey, maybe they can be educated. Maybe they can learn something new. Maybe they are open to changing their thought process. And those two people in me have a war all the time. Hood Scarlet be like, I'm gonna fuck them up. I don't know how many times I've handed my wife my glasses and she's like, oh fuck. I'm like, all right, we're about to, and she's like, oh damn it. Yeah, because there's just been things that just are wild that people say to you or do to you, and you're just like, at some point, the only language that bullies understand is bullying. And I hate it, because I really wish I could have a beautiful conversation with you where you just had this lovely realization that the way you were doing things is systemically oppressive and terrible. I really wish you could have the light just go on in your head and get it. I really wish that conversation could happen. But most likely, I'm gonna have to take a very heavy novel and smack the shit out of you, and then explain it to you afterwards when you're recovering from your concussion.
I think Scarlet is my people.
It's hard.
Also, someone was talking about the idea of whether leather is political or not. I think we have to be less afraid to be political. We need to be proactive instead of just bitching when shit goes wrong. We need to, when the election is going on, why aren't we out there talking to our leather folks then, telling them, hey, if you vote for this person, you're putting us in jeopardy. Think about your vote. Because they might be thinking, hey, you know, I'm a business owner, and the idea that I won't have to pay my employees health insurance, that's good for me. And that's all they think, is what is their own fucking wallet. You know, and they're not thinking about the rest of us and the rest of the people in the community. We need to make them think about it before they walk into that election booth. And that means being proactive. That means talking about, hey, specific political organizations, specific politicians, talking about it in our groups when we come together and saying, hey, don't vote for this person. If you are leather, you're calling yourself leather, you're wearing that patch, you're calling yourself my sister, my brother, so on and so forth, don't vote for this motherfucker.
Yeah.
We need to have the courage of our convictions to say that. Don't vote for this motherfucker or you're not my brother. Don't vote for this motherfucker or you are not my sister. We need to be able to say that.
It's funny you bring that up because sometimes it even be our own people.
Exactly.
And I had a conversation with somebody
Every brother
and they
ain't a
were
brother.
like, oh, but his economic stances and this and this and this. I'm like, oh, that's well and great. But if you're not alive or here to reap those benefits, was it worth it? Chamorros, even though we are a U.S. territory and even though we are citizens, we don't get to vote at all. Even about what happens on Guam. We have state representatives and senators who go to D.C. and sit in the back while everybody else gets to make decisions for us. My mother is on Guam and she was like, oh, if I could have voted, I'd have voted for him because X, Y, Z. I'm like, okay, you want to vote for a person and a government that is still silencing you.
Still not giving you the right to vote
Yeah.
over
You know,
your own stuff.
Puerto Ricans, American Samoa, any
All the same.
U.S. territories, we have the same struggle. What you don't know about U.S. territories is what was America founded on? No taxation without representation. We are feeding this country with no voices. We are sending people into the military with no voices. The military is another form of slavehood for us. We are dying. Our land is being taken, literally, for military usages. And we are here in the States voting for somebody while our people are home dying. Our land is dying. If you are from a U.S. territory and you think that immigration doesn't apply to you because you have citizenship, guess what? That citizenship is conditional as long as you are still a U.S. territory. And when you are a territory, America only has territories that benefit them. So every time this country goes to war, every territory is at risk of being lost, of being used as a pawn. Our people are being bombed and killed and taken. All of these things that everybody was like, oh, that was so long ago. That doesn't apply.
History repeats itself.
We are still experiencing that all today. Today. Those of us who have naturalized citizenship, my sir, he is Indonesian. His father came to the U.S., so he was born in the U.S. Did you know Trump is trying to change it that if both parents are not naturalized born citizenship, your citizenship will be revoked. That means my sirs, that means all of my kids. When I tell you that we are just trying to survive, we are just trying to fucking survive.
And it's terrifying.
It is.
So thank you everyone for very open-hearted. No, it's an important conversation. It's why we're here. And although we did have this tentatively scheduled to end around 6:30, we're not stopping because of course it's an important conversation to continue to have. So if anyone needs to take a restroom break or a reset, please feel free to do so. But we will just kind of continue the conversation and keep going because this is what we're here for. This is the goal and the purpose of Amplify. So again, Thank you all very much for your transparent answers. So, to keep the conversation going, in this vein, the next question is, in what ways can our leather and kink spaces actively resist political efforts that threaten our sexual freedoms and very humanity, as we were talking about? And what responsibilities do organizers, community leaders, contest producers, or con producers have in this climate to help protect those freedoms? Brady, I'll start with you.
I think that we have to decide to put our money where our concerns are. And that if, as a community, we want to support organizations, events, places, spaces that align with our values, we have to ask the hard questions to event producers and people about it. I want to know, what your stance is on this. I want to know what your stance is on that. I think that we don't vet events like we should, because we're so busy wanting to do the things. And don't get me wrong, I know we all want to do the freaky, geeky, hands-on things. I know it's why we came, right? But is it so important to do the things that you're willing to sell out your leather brother, your leather sister, your queer niece, nephew, uncle,
Sibling.
your black sibling? Like, are you willing to sell them out because you just had to get your ass beat by that fine ass man or that fine ass woman? And so we have to really start talking with our dollars and our decisions. We have to stop going places that the owners don't align with you. They don't care nothing about getting on board with diversity, equity, and inclusion. They not gonna never change their flyers. They not gonna never put nobody on. They not gonna never change the music. Okay, well then I gotta stop putting my money there, right? When you know that places and spaces and events aren't going to do it because you've gone there and you've asked them, and you know other people that have gone there and asked them, then stop going. I don't never want to present so bad that I'm going to keep going to a place that I know is going to shit on my people. I'm not. And so that is what we as a collective have to do, because it ain't never that important.
Mr. Everest?
So, I think one of the discussions that comes up within Voices of Unity came up, at the BIPOC discussion at SPLF. I've heard it multiple times is, what do we do about ignorance versus blatantly kind of ignoring, essentially equity and inclusion, or the ability to provide that, right, and provide safe spaces. And it's funny for me, my initial thought is, okay, there should be some level of willingness to provide education. And that's something that Voices of Unity is going to be doing in the future. That's something that we see other groups and even collectives like the Leather Solidarity Collective doing, right? There's education in there. You got to pay attention. You got to read it. You got to show up to those things. But if the effort isn't there and you're not doing it, then you're choosing that level of ignorance, right? So the opportunities are there, and I think a lot of people in this room are trying to create more and more of those opportunities. But if you talk about or you ask about what organizers and leadership for conferences and things of that nature could be doing, it's listening, right? It's not maintaining ignorance. And then the other thing, going back to some of what we talked about that we see in dungeons and things like that, is trying harder than just optics, right? not just, hey, we need a person on the panel that looks like this, or, a performer that looks like that, or any of those things. It's more than optics. And if you don't know what inclusion looks like, or what it should look like within your group, or your conference or your event, ask questions, right? Again, the education opportunities are going to be there, even if it's a conversation with someone. It doesn't have to be a class that we're given on Zoom or wherever else. Ask the damn question.
So what I would love, and what I think would help, is if you're part of a leather group, leather family, whatever else, that you mandate when people who have a same patch on their back as you go to an event and there's a diversity and inclusion panel, or there's any type of BIPOC oriented discussion, that they attend, that they don't just go to all the fun stuff. And I know, I mean, come on, I understand that this is about kink and fetish and, us having a good time. And a lot of times people don't want to have the heavy conversations. They just want, it's about getting dick hard and pussy's wet, and I get that, all right? But you can still get that. You can still have these heavy conversations. You're going to be there for, 3 days at a convention? You can't go to 2 panels? And you can still go to your WIP panel. You can still go to your, your Shibari panel. You can still go to this panel and that panel. You can still go to all the play parties. But I want you to also, if you're going to keep that patch on your back, I want you to attend that BIPOC meeting. Because I've been to a lot of them all around the country. I see the same fucking faces. Mm-hmm. There'll be 600 people, 300 people, 200 people at an event, and there'll be 20 people in that class. The people who need the message ain't getting it, and they're not going to show up. They're not going to come unless somebody makes them. And if you have a group and you're not telling, hey, everybody in my group, you need to be attending this. I'm going to be there, and I want to see your face if you're going to keep that patch on your back.
Piggyback before they even earn the patch. So
That too.
House Ascension has been writing curriculum for a leather journey, and I hold a lot of high standard because I've noticed a lot of people who say they're leather that harm us. Mm-hmm. My program is now obtainable within 18 months, but it's out to 24 months if you want to be fully vested in us. And I told a few of my Vanguard, my staff members this, and they're like, oh, that's a really long time. And I said, yep, it is. And those who want it will get it, and those that don't will not. And that's okay with me. I'm not changing the standard. I'm not lowering the bar for other people's comfort level so they can get their participation award. Because that's what it is. Oh, look, I went to SPLF. Oh, look, I went to this. Oh, look, I was on the such and such thing. Cool. Here's your happy little sticker. Now go along your merry way. But I really, really feel like, if we're not holding the standard, if we're not boycotting spaces and not giving no money to things like, I made an announcement at House Ascension. Yeah, but we're no longer going to be carrying Coca-Cola products. I'm so sorry. You'll not find those sodas in our house anymore. Sorry. Moving on. And I'm like, I'm not going to spend my money there. There's a lot of places I won't spend my money. And I make announcements to my whole house about it. Because that entity, that organization, that government, whatever, doesn't deserve my money. They don't deserve it. And I don't necessarily boycott organizations in the leather community or in the kink community, but there's places I'm just like, have zero interest in going. And when others ask me about them, I won't bash them. But I'll say that's not my space. It's not a space for me. You can go and explore it as you wish. Because everyone's going to have their own journey, and I'm not here to correct someone else's journey. But my fun pop question lately that I ask people is, oh, so what protest are you going to? Not what event are you going to? Not what play party are you going to? What protest are you going to? Because right now we're actively seeing so much discourse in the United States politically and with our government me and my kink friends go to protests together. It's great. Very bonding. Very, very camaraderie. Very leather of us.
Very demure.
Very demure. Like, yes, you know.
Or share information.
We share it, and we share information on it. We share it in chat groups for our leather organizations to tell other people, hey, if you sign up here, you can go to this protest. Come show up. Learn legalese, which is an actual language. It is the language that our government runs off of. Learn legalese so you can defend your ass and those that you love and care about. Make sure your Fourth Amendment is not being infringed upon. That's important. Like, learn learn when to shut the fuck up in front of folk. But keep resisting and keep protesting and keep being uncomfortably loud about your opinions.
Nick?
So I hear everyone say, you know, it's where our dollars are, right? And I do agree that supporting events that do not align with the principles that you value and that keep us alive is important. I think it's also about stepping outside of your comfort zone and supporting smaller events that are not the fan favorites, that we're not all screaming about the Instagrammable content. Like, there is a lot of great work that's being done locally, but because you don't like their IG flyer, they're not on the TikTok, you don't support. Like, the big cons are great, don't get me wrong. Last year, I went to all of the big cons. I had 2 cons a month, it seemed like. It's the smaller events where I made real solid connections. It was the smaller events that helped me learn to discern who are the safe people and who aren't the safe people. It's the local events that helps you understand the political climate that you're actually in locally, because those are the laws that are going to affect you before anything they do federally. People are really concerned about whether you voted for this person or that person presidentially. I needed to know who you voted for governor. Who did you vote for as the alderman? Who was the vote for the Houston mayor? Those are the positions that I care about, and I can only know that when I engage with people at the local space. And the local space is not always going to be glitz and glam. It's not going to have all the accoutrement that you expect from the Hilton.
Angel. Integrity is what we do when nobody is watching. So what are the conversations being had behind the scenes with event producers and event organizers and Munch leadership? You're calling yourself inclusive and not diverse. What does your leadership board look like, and what are you talking about in those leadership meetings? If your leadership does not look like the people that you are trying to reach, are you really reaching those people? How can you know what BIPOC people need and want if nobody on your leadership is a BIPOC person? How can you create safe and inclusive spaces for trans siblings if nobody in your leadership is trans? How can you know what a queer space needs to be if nobody in your leadership is queer? If everybody looks the same, nothing is ever going to change. Like, we all scream diversity and inclusion and equity and all of these things. That starts at home. Literally at home. What are you teaching your children? What are you educating yourself on? What are the things that you are involved in behind the scenes when nobody is watching? Because that is what you're going to bring into the kink and leather world. I mean, we can scream all of these things all day long, but if we're not starting at home, if people are not willing to do that work at home and in themselves, ain't nothing ever going to change.
Thank you. So panelists, do we want to take a quick break? We actually have dinner ready if anybody needs to take a quick break. If you bring something. We can bring it over here.
Yeah, we make tea.
Yeah.
I mean, we can break so everybody can get up and stretch.
Why don't we do it in 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do 5 minutes.
5-minute break. We will do a 5-minute break, 5-minute intermission, and we will be right back.
If I get up, I'm gonna come back here. I'm just sitting right here.
Wait a minute, listen.
So to get back started with our panel discussion this afternoon, to restart, we're actually going to visit one of our Facebook questions, which is, in this current administration where systemic racism and racially charged attacks seem to be escalating every day, how can I, as a white leather person, help keep my Black and BIPOC leather friends and family safe? What is something we should all learn that might help protect folks who are being targeted? Yes, we'll start with Scarlet.
Waste their time. If you are part of the privilege and if you're on the side of privilege, waste time. Don't answer questions from ICE agents or other entities that are acting like them. Waste their time, because the longer you are tangled up with them and you're within your rights, somebody else is getting away. Somebody else is skating through. Waste their time. Make the system inefficient. Clog the system with inefficiency, because then they will stop doing it, because they only caught 3 people that day because you wasted 2 hours of their time. If you got the time, waste it. Waste it. Make it annoying. Spam all of their centers. Do that stuff. Yeah. Just be a menace. Please, just go out and be a menace to them so the rest of us can be safe.
Mr. Everest.
Help make our voices louder. The petitions, the protests, the posts out there sharing information, spread that wider. It's important. It might not seem like it. It might just seem like a post with a couple hearts on it. You know what? You can help make that bigger, right? Make that just a little bit louder. 1,000 people do that. Hey, now there might be a few hundred more signatures on a petition. There might be more folks showing up, right? That is key, and that's the level of support that we need.
Freddie?
So I would say.
Freddie, then Joy.
I'm sorry. I would say that you should, if you are privileged enough, find your local organizations. The Human Rights Campaign is a great one. HRC, Give, because they work political grassroots, like local elections and state and that give the monies. If you got the monions, give it up to organizations that are going to use it to benefit politically our interests. Find your local organizations that represent your LGBTQ youth. Our opportunity youth, those are typically youth between the ages of 17 and 26, are at a great risk. Find the organizations locally for you that reach them and give. If you don't have time, if you don't have money, give time. Find out how you can work phone banks. Find out how you can work call centers. Find out how you can go in and help with their mail drops. Whatever it is, give. Because that's really how we become effective, is by putting our time and our money to the organizations that are doing the work.
Joy.
Be a beast. And I don't say that to be funny, and when I say that, I mean literally be a beast. My master and husband is white, and he has very much put himself in front of me and other BIPOC people. He has literally punched racists in the face to defend his people. He uses his white privilege so that we are not targeted. I mean, literally, and not even just in the kink and leather world, out in the vanilla world, having a racist on a job site targeting the black men in his company, and him stepping between them and turning to his coworkers and saying, I got this, so that you don't lose your job, so that you don't go to jail, because if the police shows up, who are they going to to go to. He put himself in danger to protect us, and he does it very routinely. That's why we affectionately call him Suge White in our circles. But if you have the ability to defend us, defend us. Because when people look at us, you know, when police look at us, when law enforcement look at us, when military look at us, it doesn't matter what we say, our skin color is threatening enough. Sometimes literally standing in front of us and protecting us can make a difference.
I think, can I add something there? So, you know, Brady, what you had said about putting your money where your mouth is, I think that's another thing too, right? You know, to folks that do want to provide some level of support, that's another thing to be cognizant of is where are you putting your money and what is that money doing, right? After it goes to these big organizations or big companies. One resource that I want to add to part of that conversation is an app called Goods Unite Us. It shows list of every large company that you've probably ever heard of and their political affiliations and actions that they've taken. It's a good app to at least check out if you want to know, hey, I'm walking into this place, what do they support? What do they stand for?
And can I get the name of that website again, just so we can put it in the chat?
Yeah, it's I know it as a mobile app, but it's Goods Unite Us.
Goods Unite Us.
Mm-hmm. But I just, yeah, it's an app. I just search Goods Unite Us and it'll pop right up.
Thank you very much. Nick?
So, that was the direction I was gonna go in, which is, I think that also helping is knowing who you are actually supporting. Because realistically, you're not gonna be able to donate to every single cause, you're not gonna be able to show up to every single protest, but you do have the ability to use high level of discernment. Vet these events, these producers, all of the things, the same way you would for a play partner or anyone else that you're gonna allow in proximity to you. If you're going to spend, if you only have 50 cents to spend it with the most impactful, the most supportive organizations.
Mr. Ratcliffe.
So I would say use your voice and use your privilege, as Joy was saying, even when it comes to the small things, the microaggressions, the little comments that they might say to you because they're expecting that you're on their side. So they might say these things to you and maybe you let them slide. Well, we talked about some other values earlier, and one of those was courage, the other one was integrity. So if someone's making little comments, little jokes, or whatever else, or talking about how great that idiot in the office is, and you're letting it slide, that's not showing courage or integrity. So if someone's talking about how great the bill that passed is, and you know the reasons why it wasn't great, and you just keep your mouth shut, you're not helping. So if you're hearing these things, someone talking about, oh, that person of color over there, I'm glad they didn't get elected because whatever horrible thing they might say, speak up. Speak up. And I'm not saying that everybody is in a position where they can physically put themselves in front of a racist who's on the attack, but you can damn sure use your mouth.
If you need tips or tricks on unfair psychological advantages, I will absolutely use my powers for evil.
Very nice. So, next question. When someone in authority says this is just part of the lifestyle and that's how it's always been, how can we respond in a way that amplifies needed change? And I'll open this to the group.
So there's a quote from Muhammad Ali that if someone has the same opinions at 50 that they had at 25, then they haven't grown. And it's the same thing. Our lifestyle, leather has, despite what some people may believe, has always evolved. Back in the 80s, there were no pony players, there were no pups, you didn't see kilts. It's always been changing, always. Some people who are new to leather might be like, oh, there weren't? No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It's always been changing. So if someone's saying, oh, well, this is just how leather is, you know. Leather is, you know, white male dominated or whatever the hell else. You can push back about it because leather has never been just one thing. Never. Never. It's always been changing. And the people who have been pushing to keep it looking a certain way, to keep people acting a certain way. I'll tell you something, let me go a little off track, is that in the 80s, leather was very political. Everybody remember all the AIDS marches and fundraisers and all that? Those were mostly led by Leatherfolk. So,
And lesbians.
yeah, and trans folks. So Leatherfolk have always been political. Always. So we should be political now. Like now. What we're facing is every bit as life-threatening as, you know, nuclear holocaust, AIDS, all the stuff that we're fighting back in the 80s. What we're fighting now is just as dangerous. People are losing health care. That's threatening lives. People are losing their bodily autonomy. That's threatening lives. People are losing their livelihoods. So, yeah, immigration status, separate families being separated. All of these are life-threatening. So why aren't we out there marching? Why aren't we doing the fundraising like we were back in the 80s?
And just because that's how it's always been doesn't make it right. Tradition without reflection becomes oppression. Our leather is living, and if it doesn't evolve, it dies.
I know a lot of times for me, I've heard it more in business, in companies, organizations. Why are you doing this way? Well, that's just how, you know, we've always done it. But it's stagnant. For me, that's stagnation. It just means that you're stuck because there are better ways to be. There are better ways to do that are going to affect everything else that you do in a better way. It's going to free up your resources. But if anyone says it, like they really like, oh, well, no, we're just going to stay doing it the way we've always done it, even in the face of knowing that it's going to help all these other things, you are holding on to your own power. You feel like this is somehow giving you more power, and what you want to do is continue to keep these other people oppressed and down or without benefit of the time, resources, space, and whatever that will be freed up if we fix this. And so to the person that asked the question, I would say that person that said that to you is probably a leader or a person in charge or someone that you got to get out of whatever position they're in if you want to see something succeed, because they don't. It's a power trip for them.
I butchered that Muhammad Ali quote. Can I just fix that? Because my ADHD and it's fucking with me. It's if you believe the same way at 50 that you did at 25, then you've wasted 25 years of your life. That's the quote, okay? So if we're acting the same way 20 years ago, today, as we did 20 years ago, and we think that that's a good thing, we've wasted 20 years. We should be changing and growing as a community.
Agreed.
Very nice. So our next audience question. In creating BIPOC-led spaces, how do you balance the need to educate versus avoiding falling into an echo chamber or repeating the same lesson over and over to people who haven't done the work?
So this year, I took a year, this is pretty much the only event that I'm doing this year, presenting wise. I realized that you have to pour into yourself as much as you give out. I think that you have to be very mindful of your own personal bandwidth. Like, it would be nice in a perfect world for everyone to understand when I'm at burnout or I just don't have any more to give and I can't do the work. But the reality is they won't know that. And so for me, it's about setting the boundaries and taking a step back, because even though I am a part of marginalized groups, I'm not the only voice from those groups. And there's nothing wrong with me because I'm serious about rest and joy. I'm very serious about rest and joy. Just because I'm taking a rest doesn't mean that my impact is going to be minimized. And giving someone else a chance to use their voice doesn't mean that, that they're not going to have an even greater impact, or that they should. It just simply means that all of us can have a turn at the swing set. And so I'm tagging out for a while.
And we'll be ready when you're ready to tag back in.
Next audience question. Much of today's conversation has centered around Texas, and for good reason. We're living and organizing in a state that is increasingly hostile, especially to BIPOC, queer, and trans communities. There's a growing push to move events like SPLF out of Texas and into so-called safer states like California or New York. I'd love to ask, number one, do you support this push to relocate major events? Why or why not? John?
Hell no.
Come on, thank you. Thank you.
Hell no. Not everybody has the means to leave Texas. Otherwise, we wouldn't fucking be here. So what about the people who are here? There are many of us, because okay. So in my vanilla life, I am the board president of Central Texas Pride Community Center. We are an LGBTQIA advocacy in Killeen, Texas. And if you don't know about Killeen, it is a military town. I'm raising 4 kids who all fall into the queer spectrum. And when all of this shit started to hit the fan real bad, we posed the question to my kids, do we move? And my kids said to me, if we don't stay and fight, who will? If we don't keep these spaces here, where do we go? For those of us who don't have the means and capabilities to leave, where are our safe spaces now? If everybody gets to pack up and go, but us, what do we have left? Texas is always going to stay this way if nobody's willing to stand up and fight it. Nothing is ever going to change unless one person stands up and says, no more. And if everybody packs up and leaves, who's going to do that?
It's a perpetual kick the can down the road to someone else's problem. And I've seen it in the 4 years that I've been here. It's, oh, Houston's not inclusive enough. Oh, I moved to Austin. Oh, okay. So now it's not my problem anymore because now I'm in a more inclusive environment. And I'm like, cool. What about everybody else who's still here? Like, you're 25 and you got to move. Congrats. I love that for you, but what about the rest? They don't have the luxury or privilege or ability to go. And so I agree with you. It was definitely a conversation in our household as well, whether or not to move. One of my spouses wanted to move out of the country entirely. And I'm like, cool for you. I'm gonna stay. I know you're not a fighter. That's okay. I am. I'll stay. I'll stay. And I was very vehement about the idea that I strongly felt in my spirit that we are on the precipice of another war in the U.S., on U.S. soil, amongst Americans. I feel very strongly about that. And I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere because in that kind of place, in that possibility even, my profession is going to, not only am I a great physical fighter, and I know that, but the psychology background that I have for mental health is going to be a skill that is needed. It is a skill that was not foreseen in other wars, that was going to be needed in other spaces where combat happened. They don't plan that as part of it. I need to stay for that. I need to stay because in crisis I stay calm. I need to stay because the first job I ever got as a clinician was a crisis. Like, I'm a crisis counselor. That's what I do. I don't want to sit and talk DBT for the rest of the year. I don't want to do that. I meet people at their absolute worst. On the worst day of their life, the day they decided to, we won't get into that because that will include a lot of trigger warnings. On days that are not great for them. That's typically the day that I get to meet people. The worst day of their life. And I have to make a plan for 24 hours, for 72 hours, for the next 7 days, for the next 30, to get them through, to get them what they need, to get them back on their feet, to get them back onto stability. And that's what I do. And I know that skill set in and out. And I know that if times get worse, that skill set is going to save lives. Because even if they survive everything that this government throws at us, it will kill other people in other ways afterwards. And I can help prevent that. So I'm staying. And I'll stay and fight, and I'll stay for the aftermath to pick up the pieces.
I got two parts to this. So I think one, I take great offense to the question of safe. Tell me one place that's absolutely safe. And all of the, like, just give me one place that's just hands down safe. Safe is a construct that it's nice to shoot for, but it's never going to be a thing, right? It's just not. So this idea that conferences should move to places that are allegedly safe. Safe for whom? Because our community is not just black or white, femme or masculine. It's not it's not just all of the labels, but all of the things. It's a mix of a lot of things. So LA could be safe for SPLF, sure. But is LA safe for black and brown folks?
Hell no.
Right. And black and brown folks are going to the conference, so no. And then the second part is, who all has seen the movie Sinners? Okay. So you remember the part where he said, hey, Chicago is whatever it is. We're back because these are the devils we know, right? As a person from Mississippi, sometimes knowing what you have in front of you, knowing the gravity of what it is and how to fight it is much better than going somewhere else and trying to figure out, now who are the devils? Now who are the turncoats? Who are the in-betweens? Because I know who the players are here. I know what they look like. Going somewhere else doesn't change the work. You still have to do it. So do it where you are. Do it now.
Where you have the most knowledge.
So for me, piggyback a little bit on what Nik said. As a black woman, I ain't safe nowhere. America told us that last week. We can have all kinds of proof of what somebody gonna do to you and still not guilty, because black women is the lowest class of anything, and we really don't care what they do. So I'm not safe anywhere. But the second part of that is, if a state is deemed not safe, we just gonna rock with it. We're gonna let it be not safe. We're not gonna take time to figure out how do we work to make it safe. How do we do the work where we are to ensure that it's gonna get better? So we just gonna leave it, or let them not be safe an entire. What are we, bigger than California? Say bigger than California, right? So it's cool. We just gonna let them do that in that one. No, what do you mean? We have to do that. That's the whole part of what. Again, I get mind blown. Isn't that what we supposed to do? That's a fundamental part of community, right? Leather value, community, right? Mm-hmm. That's a fundamental part of community is making the spaces safer. Because again, I ain't safe nowhere. Safer. Mm-hmm. We can't just leave. That it's impossible.
Everybody judges safe on whether or not a state is red or blue.
Yeah.
But have you literally sat and watched election? How quickly a red state can become blue, and then vice versa. So sure, California, Washington, New Mexico might be safe now, but for how much longer? And yes, things are changing, or we have to look at local first. But when you have a person in presidency who has consistently shown that he don't give a damn about state law.
Red, blue,
and
we don't
being
care.
right. Just because California is safe right now, for how much longer,
It
though?
ain't safe.
And is it?
It ain't
'Cause
safe.
It
It ain't safe.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
Rodney King happened in
they
California.
riding shotguns
Exactly.
ice through their neighborhoods too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, ICE is super active over there right now.
Yep.
It ain't
Yeah, it's
safe.
not safe.
I mean, and when we think, and then that's the sad part is when you think about safe, like Nik said, safe for who? Sure, California might be a little bit more liberal and accepting when it comes to the queer community than Texas, but they're still facing the same racial issues that Texas is. Safe for fucking who? When you think about safety, you have to think about all of it. You can't just pick and choose which community you want to keep safe.
And let's not forget the history that the Black Panthers started in Oakland, California. Their first
Exactly.
meet was at Merritt College. My mom went to that college. At Chabot College is what the lake that they met at. The neighborhoods and communities they started serving in the 80s and early 90s was in California. So safe for who if Black Panther started there? If that's where if that's where the whole movement started, wait a minute. Read that history one more time and make it make sense.
Yeah.
So next audience question. As someone who's white passing and aware of the space I take up, I want to ask, with respect for the labor and boundaries of BIPOC leaders, how do you navigate situations where someone clearly has good intentions, but their behaviors or actions still cause harm or don't align with those good intentions?
May I answer? So, Be the Difference Munch and myself actually held a panel a couple of months ago for white presenting BIPOC people, and my sir sat on the panel. And this question was posed to them, and his answer was because he is white presenting, he often doesn't go into BIPOC spaces because he recognizes that his skin color is triggering to BIPOC people. And instead, he uses that privilege to correct other people. Like Raph was saying, he uses his voice. Because he is white passing, he is white presenting, people will say some fuck shit to him because they think he is white and that they can just say whatever. So he actively tries to, one, honor his heritage, be the voice when people are saying the fuck shit, but also trying to protect other BIPOC people too, because he understands that sometimes just seeing skin color can be triggering for some of us.
No, I was just going to say, education is always the answer. So if someone is saying something out of ignorance, yeah, maybe that doesn't mean you jump down their throat because they don't know, but you don't let it slide either. You educate them. And you can do it in a loving way if you're in that mood at the moment. You know what I mean? Maybe they need to be jolted. Maybe they do need you to jump on them and say, hey, no, we don't use that term. Or no, that's not acceptable to do, or whatever. Maybe they need that jolt. Or maybe you can find a way to say it in a loving way. Like I you know, as an ex-fighter, I know that you motivate different people different ways, you know. Some people respond to getting yelled at. Some people you gotta say things calmly, so on and so forth. Each individual situation might be different, but in all situations, education is the answer. Communication is the answer. Don't let it slide.
Yeah, call it out.
Yeah.
Either call it out or call it in. I would also say if they are having that moment with someone and they're obviously oblivious that what they're saying is extremely harmful to others, yeah, call it out. You can say, like, I use a lot of, oh no, we don't comment about that. We don't talk about that. So psychologically, that tells them we as a united group will not put up with this behavior. And no matter where I'm at, it somehow makes them pause and look around and go, oh, so if I want to stay here, I can't act like this, I can't say this. When I use we language, not just I, because this is not a personal conversation, this is a collective conversation. The second thing that I do is if they say a little quip that they assume will be a joke at someone else's expense, pause for 4 seconds. Count in your brain. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then speak. Because it takes 4 seconds psychologically for your brain to accept that what they said, the lack of response, is rejection. Which means they just felt rejected, which they should, for what they just said. So just wait 4 seconds and then say the wisdom that you need to say, because you're going to psychologically retrain their brain and the synapses in it by rejecting what they're saying by just staying silent for 4 seconds.
Very nice. So next question, skip the right question. BIPOC and gender nonconforming individuals often face compounded prejudices. How do we unlearn assumptions of others within the community in an effort to practice active inclusivity?
Take my class, do nothing by default.
And it was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Say it louder.
I think being conscious of the fact that we hold everybody, BIPOC people, queer people, every single person holds preconceived notions and perceptions, right? And so we need to be very conscious of it to work to unlearn it, to not do it. It's just something that we have to actively, consistently work at, because as a community, we still do it. We do it a lot. The whole conversation behind labels and how we treat people and how you can be someone's slave, but you're not the community slave. Like, we should treat people based on their name and not their title. That's how we do it. We have to individually, each person, do the work. There's no shortcut to it, because we can't institute a rule and then everyone's gonna follow the rule, because y'all don't follow rules now. So it's no shortcut to doing the work individually.
Not one thing looks the same. I mean, colorism is so bad in the BIPOC community. You know, this person doesn't look BIPOC. Who the fuck are we to tell that person who and what they are? Gender nonconforming individuals don't all look the same. Everybody presents themselves how they want to, and that is okay. And we shouldn't put these people in a box of, this is what trans is supposed to look like, this is what non-binary is supposed to look like, this is what queer is supposed to look like. Fuck you and your assumptions. They are allowed to be who they are in their fullest, just the way they are, without you pushing your own expectations onto them. You know, like, I'm on DEI staff on SPLF, and that was a conversation we had to have, you know, when we were looking at the parameters of what DEI looks like in those spaces. Self-identifying, fill in the blank. Because who am I to tell somebody that they are BIPOC? Who am I to tell somebody that they are queer? Who am I to tell somebody that they are a man or a woman or whatever other label? You know, self-identifying, and then we have to respect that.
Yeah. So that, I think that level of respect also includes, you know, I've seen questions asked, conversations started under the guise of, oh, I'm just trying to learn, right? I'm trying to educate myself and learn about this particular person. However however they identify, or you know, their cultural background, but their questions are, you know, what has your experience been being lighter than most Mexican people that I know, right? Okay, time out. Like, how are you going to start the conversation with that, right? So yeah, no, that your assumptions can fall under the guise of a question. So just be mindful, or be careful of that. Sorry, we talked about the mindful.
Yeah.
Be careful of that.
You know, I was going to say also, keep your mouth shut.
Or that.
I mean, I'll be honest. Like, if you don't know, Like, you don't have to have an opinion about everything. Keep your mouth shut until you know. Sometimes people honestly try to empathize, but if you haven't lived our lives, you can't. You can't. So don't think because, oh, if I was you, I'd do this and that, because it's probably going to be offensive as fuck.
Yeah.
All right? Ask us. Ask us. And until you have gathered information, taken the classes, read the books, talked to people, inserted yourself in the community and learned some things, just zip it. Just zip it. You don't have to have an opinion about shit that you don't know anything about. Experiences that you've never experienced.
Be a sponge.
Yes.
You want to learn more about BIPOC culture. You want to learn more about our experiences, about the intersectionalities we live in with the multitude of labels that are out there. Sit in spaces and shut up. Stop taking up valuable speaking spaces during open discussion with your BS questions that are just self-fulfilling vanity because that you want to feel heard. You want to say, look, checkbox. It's virtue signaling, and it's empty. It's hollow, and we all know it's hollow. So just, if someone asks you in that room, why are you here? Like, I'm here to learn. And then sit down and shut up and learn from the people around you, because you're not going to learn from yourself. That's why you're here, to learn from others. So be quiet so you can hear us.
So that's a great segue for our next audience question. There were concerns and discussions around this Amplify event within the BIPOC community that were negative because of the leadership of Lair being white and white passing. What are some things other groups who wish to do something similar can show good intent and produce such an event and get past these negative concerns?
You can't get past the negative concerns. There's always going to be somebody unhappy. Pure intentions, and you ask people, you're going to, honestly, talk to the people who have the negative, talk to the people in between, talk to the people all the way on the side, and then make the best choice you can. Make the best choice you can. But don't shit on people who are trying to do the work, all right? Yeah, we can tweak some things, we can fix some things, and hopefully the people who are in leadership who are trying to do these things, like Lair, they're gonna take our feedback and they're gonna tweak some things, but don't tell them don't do it. Don't tell them don't do it, because we can do it. We can sit and just all sit around going, yeah, we BIPOC. Are we reaching the people who need to be reached? So let's not discourage those folks. Let's not discourage. Take all the feedback, give them the feedback as positively as you can. Give the feedback, help them improve, but don't discourage them.
But I will say this, if you are a white person, white passing, and you have a platform and you want to do something similar to this, find BIPOC and Black people and POC people who you align with or who you would like to align with, and give it to them and help them to do it on your platform or your place. But you can't do it. You cannot make it your thing, because it can't be your thing. Again, it's the vanity, it's the performativeness, it's the I want to do this thing, and you can't.
It's a white saviorhood.
You can't do this. Because if the whole point is to make BIPOC voices heard and give a space for diversity, equity, inclusion, and allow this to happen, then you, my white friend, can't do it.
Amplify our voices.
Like you,
Don't
and that's
be the
where I
voice.
think a lot of times the message and the content gets lost, because we all want to be on the cover of the flyer, right? We all like having our pictures out there and stuff, right? It's cute. I got a whole little album on in my thing. I do, right? That's cute. But playing the bag, it's nothing wrong with playing the bag and being the person who produced it and the person that made that happen, because you know inside that you made that happen, that you gave a space for that. And that's still great. And everybody gonna know you did it too. But you don't have to play the front. You ain't gotta be the MC. You don't have to be, you know, out there like that. You can just make it happen.
Yeah, somebody gotta play the tambourine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that's like I agree perfectly with what Brad Daddy said. Like don't let somebody tell you no, don't.
That's damn tambourine player.
But you really should make sure that you're aligning with people who can do it,
Yeah.
and you're not trying to, because you can't.
Yeah. And that shows that level of care versus just optics, right? I could see that, right? We could all see that. If it's teeth out of, hey, we're hosting this thing sponsored by X, Y, and Z, you know, faces on the flyer and all that. I mean, you could see that a mile away.
I want to actually do the opposite of all y'all and call our BIPOC community out.
Okay, thank you.
Because we bitch and moan all the time that there's never a seat at the table for us. Where is our allies? Where is our advocates? Blah, 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 blah. Leading up to this event, I heard the negative about Amplify. And people would come to me and be like, why are you doing this? Why are you going? These are a bunch of white folk. Okay, and you've been yelling and screaming, where's our allies, where's our advocates? We want shit to change, but we are an echo chamber because we're only having these conversations with each other.
Yeah.
We have people who have actively and consistently shown us over the years that they want to do this work with us. So let's let them do this with us. Without bashing them. I feel like there is a lot of white people who want to be that ally and who want to be that advocate, but because there are so many BIPOC people saying the negative shit, they're scared to. They're too afraid to stand up because...
Will it be perfect?
Right, or they're going to say that I'm tokenizing them. They're going to say that I'm this, and I don't want to be that. I don't want to be prejudiced. I don't want to be racist. I don't want to be perceived that I'm doing these things. So they take a step back, and then the BIPOC community bitches and moans, where's our advocates and allies? We didn't give them this space and opportunity to show us that they are our advocates and allies.
And the ones that did show up were chastised.
Yeah.
So they went. So they fell silent again.
Yeah.
Because how do you give someone the strength to stand up for you in the spaces that you're not even present in if you don't pour back into them some type of way? Also, in the same vein where you're saying you don't always have to be the face. Yeah, people don't always have to be the face, but at some of these conferences, they make sure that they're still the face, even though they're saying they're doing this and they're doing that. I think at the end of the day, the BIPOC community does have some work that we have to do. We have to make connections with our allies. We have to determine who those individuals are and build those collaborative relationships. Sometimes it is going to be our faces on the flyer and it's their thing, and sometimes it's going to be our thing and you all are going to be supporting it and helping folks come through the door. Either way it goes, we have to connect. And the problem is we don't connect enough. There's an inherent distrust, which some of it is rightfully earned, some not, on both sides. So how do you step outside of your own personal bias and connect? I've said this a couple of times and I'm gonna say it again. I literally just had major abdominal surgery. Sir Prussian and Lucky came through for 6 weeks and did 6 weeks of post-surgical care. These are people that I met at a conference. These are people who I poured into a local relationship with. And when I could not walk up the stairs or bend down to feed my dog, helped. That's community. I had to lean in. I had to say, okay, yes, I grew up in the South. Yes, I also lived in Indiana, home of the Ku Klux Klan. But I gotta be able to trust somebody at some point. We can try to make things as safe as possible. And we can ask for people to do things the most perfect way. They won't always do it. Are you aligned enough that you can extend grace?
That's the thing. We extend so much grace to our own people. Sometimes when they don't deserve it, but when it's somebody else who, just because they don't look like us, we may not extend that same amount of grace, or even to a lesser degree, that grace. I mean, that's not helping us. It's not helping us. Like what someone said earlier, like, just because somebody's the same color as you doesn't mean they're on your team.
All skin folk and kinfolk.
All skin folk and kinfolk, exactly.
Some of them voted a weird way as well.
Exactly.
But they were sitting right next to you, talking about, hey girl.
Exactly.
So, next question is actually an audience question, and congratulations, we are down to our last 3. So thank you so much for hanging in there with us. Many of you have spoken to leather being political. Do any of you feel comfortable speaking to the disenfranchisement that has occurred to so many people within our communities, and how we can still be political if we're not able to have representation through voting? Is there another way we can stand up?
You can still protest. Even if you don't have a vote, you can protest.
And there are also ways in which you can support the protests, even if you cannot actually go out. Because I know for me, I'm not going out there. I can't even stand up in my kitchen long, so I can't go out to nobody's protest or to the Capitol. But there are other ways in which you can support. Again, how can you help your local organizations in terms of administratively? How can you help them to, phone banking? How, there are ways in which you can assist, even if you can't make it out to the protest. Can you be the phone tree call when people is getting, locked up, and you need, somebody needs to call their mama or their lawyer, right? So you the safe call, right? But it's, how else can you support those actions? And then I also want to say, just because we have lost the major election in November, I need people to understand that we are still in a fight for our local elections. It is not the only election. You still need to get out there. You still have to be informed. You should still know what's going on. It's early voting now for the elections that are coming up. So you need to understand.
Go to a PTA meeting. Go to an HO
Oh my God,
meeting. I'm sorry, I have to as a
your local
person.
independent school
This
district.
is where it started.
You gotta be involved with what's happening on your local levels, and now is the time, because just like that election happened, another one is gonna come. Another one is gonna happen. As long as he don't take away that right, but we ain't gonna go left on that. So, but get involved locally. You can still be involved. And while I believe that we are attempting to be disenfranchised, we not there yet. But if we don't stay on top of this, we definitely going there. So we have to keep the pressure.
And I think that's a really good point, right? That activism doesn't just look like somebody standing in the middle of a rally with a sign, right? There are a lot of things that you can do. Right, a lot of involvement that you can have in local government, a lot of petitions that you can sign, groups that you can support, that again support BIPOC, support the queer community, transgender. I mean, there's so many out there, and so many things you can do, even from home. I mean, I'm part of a group that provides support for immigrants, and understanding their rights, and yeah, I use Spanish or translation of Spanish to help them get their documentation correct, but you don't have to know that to support them to some degree. There's lots of help to be had in so many ways, and not just that organization, but just an example.
Activism looks different for everybody.
100%.
We tell people all the time, like and share, like and share. Social media can be so powerful sometimes.
Yep.
Meal trains. When we have somebody who's been to the Capitol for a protest or a rally or anything, have you guys ever seen the LGBT Rex?
I I have. Oh my
The
God, it was at
LGBT
Pride.
Rex?
It was at Pride.
So we have an individual in our queer organization who literally wears an inflatable T-Rex suit and goes around to the offices at the state capitol, because who doesn't smile and want to be like, oh, there's an inflatable T-Rex? Republicans, Democrats, nonpartisans will approach them, and that opens the door to have a conversation. And during political season, they're there every single Monday, calling and checking on her. Did you make it safe? Are you taking a moment for self-care? Sending her meals, sending her gas money. That is activism. When there was protest at University of Texas, and all of those kids were arrested, and their families had to sit and wait to find out what was going on, a bunch of us got together and cooked food and sent it to those families. So that was one less thing they had to worry about while they waited to hear if their child was going to be safe and come out alive, literally. You know, activism looks different. Sending a text message, I'm thinking of you, thank you.
Thank you. And for those who are in Texas, we wanted to share a reference as well. You can also visit Equality Texas for additional information and ways that you can show up and support. So that leads us into our second to last question. Can social media activism, like a powerful video or caption, translate into tangible change within the leather and kink community?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Social media is one of the most powerful things that have happened to our generation and the generations after me. But I mean, it is in the last 20 years. It is one of the most powerful tools, and if we're not utilizing it, I think that social media activism is every bit as powerful as a march on Washington. If you can get 1 million views, I mean, it's there's that one guy who does debates. I forget his name. Who debates Republican. Man, and it is so powerful.
He's like a kid, though.
Yeah, he's like a kid.
Oh, I mean,
and
I'm not ageist.
And I've learned some things. I've
He's
learned
young
some
folk.
things from him. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna use that next time. You know, I think it's powerful, and I think we should be doing it.
I have been known to post a naked picture with a political caption. Because them titties will bring them, and now they're gonna read what the world got to say.
Titties make the world go round. So let me
Yes.
see if I can get your attention.
I really like titties. I'm just gonna put that out there.
But you don't know. I mean, and even like, not a lot of people know about, you know, Chamorros or other Pacifica individuals, and every once in a while I'll make a post, and that has opened the door for me to sit on panels and teach classes, just from a Facebook post. When you look at these younger generations, they're not reading the newspapers, they're not, you know, watching the news, and if they are watching the news, it's on TikTok. Those 12-second videos or Instagram just scrolling. We are changing minds by just sharing something in social media.
120 character bites.
Yeah.
You got, and it's so we have to do it that way. But that is how we get the attention, and you can change the world, right? Like you can make great change if you can get someone's attention in 120 characters or in 8 seconds.
Yeah, and that trickle down effect. You heart it, all of your followers now see that. They heart it, and it just
and then you affect someone, right? And so then maybe they make a message based on your message, right? The whole Stitch thing, right? So now somebody else has done it, and then somebody else has done it, and it all started with 8 seconds of you saying something that you didn't even think was going to matter very much to the rest of the world.
But only as long as you're putting accurate information out there. If you are going to post something, make sure it is factual and accurate, because I have been called a bully online for calling out fuck shit. And it was like, well, somebody else posted it and I was just sharing it. Okay, but did you fact check that before you decided to share it? And now you're calling me a bully because I asked you if you fact checked it.
And then always at her.
You know, because it is that tool is so powerful and it reaches millions and millions of people, make sure the information that you are posting and or sharing is accurate.
And don't call my sister a bully.
Oh, I had a patch made. I need to put it on my vest, but I now have a patch that says bully.
I love this. I just heard Joy said it's okay to be a bully to stupid people.
Accurate.
If you out here spreading misinformation,
Accurate.
we can bully you.
Joy said it was okay.
Joy said it was okay. I also have a thing where I'm gonna give a shout out to Sacramento. Shadeo said it was okay. You know what the hell? Shadeo. I was like, we had business cards. He was terrified because I was making brat passes, and Shadeo said it was okay. I put his face on it. He was terrified. He's like, please don't do this to me. So yeah, Joy says it's okay to bully. Shadeo says it's okay to be a brat. Have a beautiful day.
So
GLC stamps approval.
So final question, guys. How do we sustain momentum after today? After Amplify, how do we ensure that voices continue to shape practices, policies, and education within leather communities? Freddie will go first.
It's
30 seconds or less.
Oh, I got you.
First.
I got you. It's like Nike. It's like Nike. Just do it. Like, don't stop shutting up. Don't stop taking up space. Like you gotta be the change you want to see.
Come on,
Do
bring
it.
Nik?
In the same words, just do it. I also want to say that you're not going to get it perfect. It's about continuing to do it. So yes, intention matters. Impact is more important. You only get better the more you do it.
While you're fired up from this weekend, that's the time to make that social media post. That's the time to sign up for that protest. That's the time to donate. That's the time, like, use this momentum to do something positive, to do something. Well, I mean, it's great to be like, yeah, that was awesome, and all fired up. Use that energy and do something with it. I don't care if it's just donating or whatever. Sign up, go home right now and go, all right, where's the next protest? Go home right now. Who should I be donating? Who should I be boycotting? Who should I just do it?
Yeah, and you know, if that's a couple days, you know, of action, great. If you can put a plan together and execute on it, right? I think that's huge. So, you know, Voices of Unity exists because we had a powerful conversation at SPLF, where it would not exist, right? And I kept it internally asking the question, now what? I go from Dallas to Houston, and I sit down in my recliner, and I just go, man, that amped me up. Now what? Now what, right? So take that action and think about that. The execution is important. It's great that your heart's in the right place. That's fantastic. Now what?
My advice is going to be a little different than everyone else's because we are getting all amped up right now, and we're all feeling that emotion, and we're feeling that drive towards our bigger mission. Take a video of yourself right now, so when future you stops having the gas to get going, you can remember what you were doing. Remember your why, write it down, record it, capture it in some way, so that when you stop, like when you are struggling to go and do the thing and post the thing and you're starting to get low and you're like, why am I even doing this? Remember your why. And call on those that you know also amped you up. You have people in this room now that you can call that be like, hey, I'm losing my reason. Come help me find it again. And I'll help you find it. I'm sure everyone in this panel would help you find it again. We'll help you find your reason. We'll help you find your why again, because there was a reason you started and there's a reason you got to keep going.
Mine's going to be even a little bit more different than all of that. That fire and that passion, and you're formulating these plans of actions in your mind about what you can do. but do you have the spoons to do it? Do you have the capacity to do it? And if you don't, it's okay to say that. It is okay to take all of those ideas that you had and give it to somebody else that does have the spoons and capacity to do it. Don't just sit with it. Just because you're not able to do it doesn't mean that somebody else can't do it for you. You can't fight when you don't have a fight in you. You can't pour from an empty cup. And you can't fight tomorrow if you're not here today. That's my advice.
Agreed.
Amazing.
And if your cup has a hole in it, take time, repair. But in the meantime, let us know your story, let us know your mission, and we'll carry it out. Those of us that are, battle born and ready to fight for everybody, we're here. Tell us your mission, and we'll carry it with us. We'll carry your banner flag too.
Thank you all so much. We want to thank everyone for sharing, attending, asking questions here and online. We want to thank our panelists and presenters today for making sure that you are transparent, pouring your heart out to us, and continuing to speak, even when it wasn't necessarily scheduled this long. But we want to keep the amplification going. That is why we're here. That's why we'll continue to be here. And we look forward to continuing this discussion in our personal spaces, personal communities, and when we meet again for Amplify 2026. So we thank everyone, and for the people who want to follow, are you all comfortable sharing where they can follow you?
Yep.
Yes.
Sure.
We'll start with Brady. And we'll go
BradyBossBaby.com, Brady Assassin on Facebook, and Brady Boss Baby on Fest.
Nik Daring.
It's Assassins with a Z.
Nik Daring on Instagram, Facebook, and FET, and that is just N-I-K, Daring, not N-I-C-K.
Come on now.
Master Rap Daddy on FET. Magister Ere Pater on Facebook, because Facebook would not allow me to write Master Rap Daddy, so I wrote it in Latin. So, and it's the same on Instagram, Magister Ere Pater.
Mr. spelled out _Everest on FetLife, same on Instagram, and I can't even remember my Facebook one. So
It's the same.
it's the same. Thank you. I'm just never on there.
Sir Scarlet Slave on FetLife. Scarlet Stiora, which you will never learn how to spell. It's Scarlet with one T, Stiora, Stiorra on Instagram and Telegram, and then Scarlet Delaney on Facebook. And you can usually find House Ascension as well through Telegram and FetLife if you're interested in them, and find me through those channels. But Scarlet Delaney or Scarlet Stiora or Sir Scarlet Slave in many places.
Joy Perez on all platforms.
Thank you for coming. Thank you all so much for your time and for amplifying your voice. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lady Aspen.